All right, Nick, today we're talking about coaching, specifically the impact that it's had on our business, and then the impact, more importantly, that it's had on our ability to work with our agents to empower their dreams in their own business.
That's right. Coaching is so important. We use the word coaching, we throw it around, but really what resonates in my mind is mentor, having a mentor. I think that anybody knows just how important having a solid mentor is in your life, and really coaching. And when you put the coaching and you think of it as that, as a mentor, and then you think about how we go to achieve the best ecosystem for growth and balance, it's a relationship that is just so important. And I think a lot of people maybe underestimate it, but I can tell you, and I think we can tell everyone that, wow, it's made a difference for us, for sure.
Yep. So if I go back in time, I would say, just a little history for those of you who have never followed us before. Shawn, Nick, and I, so the two of us plus Shawn Military, started our company, Redwood, back in 2002. And I would say for the first, call it 14 years, we were really each other's mentors, kind of part of our early swagger. And what made us special was we were self-taught, right? We wanted to create the best real estate company, and we figured we didn't need to learn that from other people. We were going to invent it ourselves. And then one day I was struggling with an employee that I felt needed sales skills that I wasn't able to teach him. So I started asking around. I said, who's the most hardcore sales coach, sales instructor out there? And I got some names, and I looked it up on Google, and I saw, oh, there's an event in Las Vegas. I like Las Vegas. And this employee and I flew out to Las Vegas, and over the course of 3 days, I got to know this sales coach, this trainer, really well. And I came home, and Shawn and Nick were like, hey, how'd it go? And I said, you're gonna believe this, but we have a coach. And we sort of came into it. The proposal, when I was hearing it, I was like, I never thought I wanted a coach, but I don't know how I say no to this guy. And what we realized was that immediately this coach brought to the surface fractures in our working relationship. What he uncovered was Shawn was thinking this way, Nick's goal was that way, and my goal was, somewhere in between. And we went through that first month was freaking excruciating. And really what he was doing, he was bringing us all together. And I remember when I knew that he had really achieved something special, is we were waiting for him to get on a coaching call. And Shawn, Nick, and I looked at each other and were like, what the heck are we paying this guy for again? And that was when the light bulb was like, all right, he has had an effect on us.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he united us. Let's be real. I think the thought processes, or what I was thinking was, or what we weren't thinking at the time was, how do you know that you've gotten where you want to go if you don't really know the destination, right? Like, that's the whole point of having a plan. How do you celebrate your success if you didn't have a goal that you were trying to achieve? How can you expect to reach your personal goal if you don't have alignment with your leadership team? And I think it's really simple. The business, it doesn't matter the business that you're in. It starts with having a good, solid business plan, right? It doesn't matter the industry. I think a lot of, in our industry, I think a lot of folks just kind of go out there and they give it their all. And I think we did the same thing, right? Did we muscle our way to growth? Yeah, probably. There's a lot of talent, energy, focus. But like any business, right? You get to a point where you hit a plateau. Maybe you hit a ceiling. You're trying to do different things. You're trying to evolve your business. And that's really where coaching has been phenomenal for me personally, for us, is being able to unify us, get us to focus and get alignment on goals. And then, of course, the regular accountability, which cannot be underestimated, which is probably the number one productivity tool, is you gotta get up there and you gotta do the work. And sometimes you need some help, somebody that's not in your own shoes, in your own skin, to go, hey, have you thought about it this way? Or are you approaching it this way? I have seen this work for other folks. Maybe this is something you could consider. All those things.
Yep. So that's the next great point, was what we realized once we had a coach was that there was a fundamental flaw in our approach of using each other as our mentors, because we were all self-taught, right? And what our first coach was able to point out is, guys, you're not reinventing the wheel, right? You are, all these struggles that you're having, other people, other companies have been through them before. And so let's align with the playbook. But what we realized over a couple years during this coaching relationship was that the approach that this particular coach, as amazing as he was for us, it didn't fit our organization. So we set off on a journey to find a coach that really was flexible enough with his teaching to fit within our ecosystem. And because so much of this job is about networking. I remember we were in our Washington, D.C. office, and it was NAR mid-year week. And I'm talking with a tech CEO, and we had a question. She says, "Oh, I know I know who I'll ask." And so she puts me on a text with Tom. And so I said, "Oh, well, who's the other person on this phone?" She says, "Oh, that's Tom." And I said, "Tom who?" She said, "Tom Ferry." I said, "This is Tom Ferry's cell phone number?" And she said, "Yes." And I thought to myself right then and there, I'm going to get Tom Ferry to coach us. And so over the course of this conversation, we created a relationship. And then one day I just asked him, I said, "Hey, Tom, Shawn, Nick, and I would really love to talk to you about coaching us." And so we lined up a call. And Nick, you probably remember how this call ends, is at the end of this call, we said to him, we said, "Okay, cool. Will you be our coach?" And he said, "No, I think I would just be taking your money." He said, "I've asked you guys some really simple questions over the course of this call." He said, "and you weren't able to answer it." And really what he was zeroing in on is, what is your North Star? And he kind of asked us each our North Star. Where do we see ourselves in 3 years? And we weren't aligned. And he said, basically, until the three of you are aligned, I can't help you. And we got off the call and we sort of were like, is this a close? And
The
we said,
takeaway.
"No, I think, yeah." "Is it the takeaway close?" And we said, "No, if it was the takeaway close, I think he would have scheduled another meeting for us." So I texted him like 15 minutes later. I said, "Hey, Tom, if we give you this, this, and this, will you consider it?" And he said, "Well, let me see it." So we set aside 2 days. We did all that work. We gave it to him. And he says, "Yeah, I can work with this." And it has just been for the organization, for us, three of us personally, and then for the organization to be able to introduce our agents to so many of his just philosophies and approaches, and the general idea that, like, he fully admits that his system isn't for everyone, but we need to be flexible enough that we can meet our agents where they are. And that plays into what we do, which is we empower our agents to actualize their dreams. And so that has been a great fit for us.
Yeah, I think it's, when I look back on that, if you will, the cardinal sin in business, and I think in particular the approach to coaching, is thinking that somebody's going to tell you what you need to do, right? Here's what you need to do. And a lot of agents, we find that all the time. Just tell me what to do. Well, a coach can't help you get to where you're going if you don't know where you want to get to yourself, right? That's the takeaway from Tom. He said, "Well, I can help you, but I don't know what you want." And we're like, well, and then, when we looked at each other and said, "Well, what do we want?" And we locked ourselves in that room for a couple of days and said, "Well, what do you want?" It was interesting what came out of that, because sometimes you might say, "I want to be the number one market share," or you might want to say, "Hey, I want to be in my neighborhood, I want to be the premier realtor," or whatever it may be. But when you really break it down, it typically gets to something that's beyond money, right? It says, somewhere along the lines of, you want to empower yourself, you want some freedom, right? You want to have some choices, you want to be able to provide for your family, or maybe you have, whatever different circumstances. And when you really start to break that down, it's interesting what you come out of, what is really your motivator, your why. And I think that's really what's interesting about bringing coaching aspect into your life, is that you might just be surprised at what really motivates you and what really will give you that accountability. It's one thing to say, "Hey, I want to make an extra commission check." It's another thing to be fighting for your family, or maybe a dream that you have, that you really aspire to go after. And When I think about in the scheme of life, I mean, you manifest your own creation, right? It's if you put your energy towards something and you believe in it and you work at it, you're going to achieve it. Some of the problems, or let's say the challenges that we all have, is we just get confused at times, or we get knocked off course, or maybe the market this, and all of a sudden something happens to you and you say, oh, woe is me, and you get off your game, or maybe you start having some success, and you on the things that got you that momentum, those calls that you were making, the way that you were presenting, the energy that you were putting into each and every moment of your you call it your working day. It shifted, it changes, and then you start getting out into bad habits, or just you have to become more disciplined because all of a sudden you have more things going on, and that's where the evolution of business really is for anybody that has any level of success. Where you are now is going to be very different than where you are a year from now. And we say this over and over again. What got us here is not going to be what gets us where we want to be, and that right there in a nutshell is where I would say that if anybody is serious about growing their business, balancing their life, whatever it is, achieving your goals and dreams, you need a coach, a great mentor. And that's why we provide, and it's one of our uniques in our business of providing mentorship coaches. We truly have an amazing staff, not just the owners. I like to think that we provide a lot of good advice, but our EVPs and our staff that's available for our agents, the reason why they're there is for this growth that everybody needs in some capacity.
So how I would consider the kind of final chapter of what I wanted to talk about today is really how do you provide scalable coaching? Because as Nick said, the three of us can't be tasked with working with all 500 plus of our agents. So what we're able to do is set up a scalable system. And look, everybody, you can do this, with your own business, whether you're in real estate or roofing or insurance sales. But essentially your business plan it's important the whole way through. But at the very top, it's that why. Nick talks about, like, if you're in roofing, like, why are you in roofing? If you're in real estate, why are you in real estate? What is the driving force that this service that you provide that also provides income does for your overall life? And you've got to understand what that is to truly bring it into being. And then at the bottom of equal importance is, what steps are you going to take on a daily basis, right? You can't just live all the way up here with your head in the clouds. You need to translate that into real practical steps. So what we do, if you look at it, is very top, we start with the why, and we say, all right, this is our why, this is the driving force, and our agents do the same. With our managing brokers, our EVPs. This is our why, this is my why, my driving force. This is how much money that I need to feel comfortable and to bring that why into reality. And then we break into, this is how many contracts I need. But it's more than just contracts. It's going to be, all right, this is how many conversations I have to set this many appointments to be able to sell this many transactions. And then we reverse that into, here are my business sources. So typically an agent's SOI, their sphere of influence, is going to be their highest ROI, their return on investment. But then we talk about open house strategies. We talk about geo-farming. We talk about doing what Nick and I are doing right now. We talk about doing video, social media. And this is all going to give agents a daily to-do list that they can just knock off, that keeps them, it answers the question, what do I do today? And it keeps them on point for where they're going. So as Nick says, they can manifest their own destiny and stay on track.
Yeah, that's right. It's amazing what really works in business. And this is any business, not just real estate business. It's having a good solid plan, having discipline, and having some consistency with that. And then you put that formula together and you're going to have some level of success. But I think what really then puts the icing on the cake is really determining what you want, which is also considered, let's call it, why you do what you do. And when you put that combination together, what you really want and again, what drives you, that drive of the why. And you put together a logical plan. That comes with branding, right? That also comes like what type of, if we're talking in the realtor space, what kind of agent do you want to be? There's so many different ways to do this business. And we all see it. There are certain agents that have a great network. There are certain agents that are great at closing online leads, or they like to work with people that they know, or some people actually like to work with people they don't know more so. And it's just one of those things where you have to target your audience, right? And so to do that, you have to be able to, what you put out there is what you're going to bring back to you. And so it's really important to know who your audience is, or who you're directing your energy to, because that's where you're going to be able to bring your best self and help solve their problems. Business is just solving problems 101. The agents, anyone in business that is able to meet the needs of the client the best is the one that will earn the business, or earn the referrals and the repeat business. And again, we're relating this to real estate, but it's not different in any business. If you provide the most value, right, you're able to reach your audience in the best way. They feel that you build trust. They trust you. You can build trust easily. You're going to have an audience, right? And so, it's one of those things where sometimes the focus is all it is changing your focus. A lot of times, people we were that. When we were trying to do too many things. And you might just want to consider is, how can I do a few things really, really well, things that I really like, things that I'm going to bring my best energy to. And those are the type of things that you'll get the best response from. And that's where the coaching and the mentorship is just invaluable. You cannot put a dollar amount on that, we'll call it happiness. But what makes you happy is doing the kind of work that you enjoy, the kind of work that you love. And what's really interesting, and I think with the opportunity that we all have in the real estate space, in the brokerage space, and in particular as real estate agents, is you create it all yourself. You can create a brand that's all you. You can have some different aspects to your business, even though everybody's helping people buy and sell homes. You can really customize it to fit your individual personality and your likes and your why and your wants. And so, that's what we really try. That's what we try to do here. That's why our business focus is empowering people to actualize their dreams by creating the best ecosystem for growth and balance. And that's a mouthful, but when you think about that's our why, and that's our focus, and that's how all the products, all the services, all the things that we do, all the message that to our audience, that's what we're saying, because that's what we want back. People that appreciate what we do. And it's the same thing in any business. You got to be able to make sure people understand what you're trying to do, reach your audience, and bring that great energy. And to me, that's where the coaching is just it's what set that in motion for us.
So just to wrap it up, if you're out there and you don't have this intense focus, my recommendation, get a coach that specializes in your field. Understand your why, create a plan that is going to manifest that why. And then most importantly, you need to execute day in, day out, marching your life in a way that takes you where you want to be. Thank you so much for having this discussion, Nick. And
yeah, thanks.
Everybody, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button. We'd love to let you know when we have more. Thanks.
See everybody.